And so without further ado, seeing that time is of the essence, I would like to call upon none other but our esteemed Acharya, Pandit Dr. Rampersad Parasram, to address us at this time for his closing remarks. Let's all put our hands together as we welcome Dr. Parasram to the podium.
Sitaram. Pandit Shivanand Radhe Maharaj has arrived, and he was guided to do Ganesh Vandana along with Sanjeev ji at the beginning. I've said to him, rather than me invite you to Prarthana, I will ask him to lead us in Prarthana, then I will speak to you briefly.
Bole Shri Gajanan Swami Maharaj ki jai. Let us meditate on that form of Shri Ganesh ji, he who removes obstacles and grants success to those who worship him. Hari Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Gananaam Tva Ganapatigum Havamahe Kavim Kavinam Upamashravastramam Jyeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspatan Shinvannutibih Sirasadhanam Om Ekadantam Shurpakarnam Gajavaktram Chuturbujam Pasham Kushadharam Devam Dhyayet Siddhi Vinayakam Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Bole Shri Gajanan Swami Maharaj ki jai.
Thank you so much, Shiva. Sajjanam. I don't know whether I'm happy or unhappy. I don't even know whether I ought to be happy or unhappy. Because the philosophy that drives my life tells me that one should not be carried away by the changing tide and by the ups and downs of life, by victory or defeat. And for anyone who wants to explore the subject in greater detail, I would suggest you read portions of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. A guru, acharya, a leader should not be swayed by temporary gains and should not be dismayed by temporary losses. Now the fact that you call me acharya and guru and you have put me in leadership roles means therefore that I am not going to express either pleasure or displeasure as to what I have seen and witnessed. But I want to be thankful and express my gratitude to all the people who have put together this year's program. And this is not a vote of thanks, so I'm not going to single out those individuals. But I know that even a small effort requires a lot of thought and a lot of inputs from a variety of people to make it happen. So I'm thankful to all the people. I'm particularly thankful to Mr. Simon Bidesi. As I was whispering to Pandit Khemraj Vyas, Simon Bidesi is in fact a distinguished regional and national artist, and he belongs to a group of players known as the strolling players, and they have distinguished themselves here and elsewhere. Simon, thank you very much for assisting. I actually did not know that they were planning this short skit on the life of Jayanta until I popped in on Thursday night in between my other schedules and discovered Simon on the compound, and then I realized that something was afoot. And you've seen what was afoot, and you've seen how it has translated itself. Anyway, so that's that. The school itself, as some of you know, is dedicated to my father, the late, great Pandit Parasram Maharaj, who come February would have been 100 years old if he were alive. He's not with us in physical form, but he has left footprints on the sands of time, indelible footprints that cannot be erased very easily. And I wanted to thank him for all that he gave to me, and of course to my brothers and my sisters and other members of the family, and for the people he serviced for 72 years as a Pandit. Look, 72 years is all that I have at this time. I will be 72 in May. I've not yet had 72. He, as a young man, started the profession of Panditai, and then he did it for 72 years. And I don't know whether I should praise my own father, but no praise is enough for the kind of man that he was, for the things he stood up. He stood up for things that were right. And actually, he was one of the persons who told, I'm sure, Pandit Khemaraj Vyas and Pandit Hardev Maharaj and others all the time, do not lower the benchmark. Always lift the benchmark. Always do things right. Do not look for popularity. Panditai, I have told my students, is not a popularity contest. It is not how many people come to listen to you. It's about the quality of person you are and the quality of presentation you make. It's the quality that matters. The numbers may be few, because the masses don't always respond to excellence. They respond to populists and demagogy. The populist and the demagogue, it always gathers around him large audiences. But if you want to strive for excellence, you have got to give up the demagogy, the rabble-rousing. And you have got to set aside the populist arguments and begin to deal with the rational arguments. I didn't really intend to tell you all of this, but I told you nonetheless. I want to thank the class for reciting Bhagavad Gita, but I will make the observation, Pratish, that Anushtup Chand is Anushtup Chanda, and Trishtup Chand is Trishtup Chanda. And no matter what embellishments we put in it, the fact is, once we do that, we become performing artists. And we are not being true to the meters prescribed by the sages of the Vedas. So, Dharma Kshetra, Kurukshetra, Samaveta, Yuyutsava. See, I could say, Dharma Kshetra, Kurukshetra. God has blessed me with a voice. Then it will no longer be Anushtup Chanda. So, I really appreciated the chanting of Sri Krishna's name, but my preference is really Dharma Kshetra, Kurukshetra. Try that with me. Say it. Dharma Kshetra, Kurukshetra. Say. Samaveta Yuyutsava. Mamakah Pandavaschaiva. Kima Kurvata Sanjaya. Therein lies, you see, the Anushtup Chanda is music in its own right. My father used to actually say, and I don't know how you all will deal with this in the new era and the modern world, that when reciting the verses of the Puranas, the Vedas, and Bhagavad Gita, you should not even use music. But these matters, not me, but generations to come will ponder, and they will decide what is the merit or demerit of an argument, and so they will deal with that. So similarly, I was listening, and I'm really so proud of the Ramayana group. I'm very, very proud of them. And particularly when they were singing Moolam Dharmataro Viveka Jaladhe, the opening shlokas of the Ramcharitamanas in Aranyakanda, and Sandrananda Payodaso Bhagatanum Pitambaram Sundaram Pano Bana Sarasanam Katilsa Tunir Vaharambaram. Very nice. It's very nice. And I do recognize the difficulty, yes, just what I was saying, getting the voices together in singing the Malkosh. And I understand that because Ram, Siya Ram, Siya Ram, Siya Ram, sung very beautifully by some of our poets. Everybody knows that ragas have their peculiar notes, and you have to sing them in a certain way, and it's not always easy because this was not a singing contest. Actually, it was the presentation of chaupais of the Ramcharitamanas. But there are also standard meters for the Ramcharitamanas that we have to look to. Pandit Khemaraj said that he's going to be a harsh guru perhaps in the next 3 months. And I was saying to Khem, no matter, when I said Khem, I mean Khemaraj Vyas. He is not only a tutor, secretary of the Pandits Parishad, that every time we allow people to drop the benchmark in any way, we set in train something that sometimes we cannot control. And therefore, I don't know the answers as to how we're going to manage the future of Hinduism in this country, but we must certainly strive to make the benchmark higher, or at least maintain the benchmark where it is. I am telling you this, that where the benchmark is at this time is not very good. That it's not in a very good place right now. Because every night, Pandit Khemaraj Vyas, myself, and some others, we agonize at what we hear sometimes in the public domain, which passes off for Ramayana Chaupais and chanting of the mantras and shlokas and so on. Am I sounding harsh, Parvati? Now, actually, it's true. It's becoming very painful. I listened to a discourse for 1.5 hours on the Devi Bhagavatam and did not hear a single shloka of the Devi Bhagavatam, and that bothers me. I listened to the other night a discourse on the Ramcharitamanas, and the discussion had nothing to do with the writings of Sant Tulsidas, but it had to do with the person's own misguided opinions on social reality, and that bothers me. We've got to lift the benchmark, and I'm so therefore proud of those people who come to the classes, who stay with us, who take part, and who try to study. You are not perfect. Pandit Khemaraj Vyas is not perfect. Pandit Hardev Maharaj is not perfect. Rampersad Parasram is very short of knowledge. In fact, I have very little knowledge. I have very little knowledge. But I am the kind of batsman who understands the strip. I understand the wicket. I understand the weather conditions. I understand the conditions of the ball. And therefore, I know how to play. And that's thing. But I'm very proud of you. I'm really proud of all of you. I know that people have sponsored food. I know that people will serve food later. I know that you all have practiced. I know that you have contributed in a variety of ways to what is happening here this evening. Thank you all very much. Thank you so, so much. And I really am proud of you. But if you see, as a tutor, as a teacher, I fail to tell you that you have heard, then I would be failing in my duty. It's not proper for an acharya to tell you that everything you do is right. Then it is pointless for me being called guru or acharya or leader. It is pointless, absolutely pointless. Sanjeev, for example, was reading from the Satyanarayan Brat Katha. He made mistakes. I used to make mistakes. I still do sometimes when my concentration level drops. I'm sorry, Roshan was reading from the Satyanarayan Brat Katha. Sanjeev, you also made mistakes, but you did very well. Yes, and so you did very well, actually, and Roshan, you did very well. But there were errors, and there were errors because we do not practice enough. We do not practice enough. We do not familiarize ourselves enough with the text. And we're not in the habit of doing riyas, or for that matter, prayas. Prayas means efforts, and riyas means the actual practices of the abuse. So we've got to do more of that. We've got to do more of that. And there is so much to learn, because Hinduism is not a matter of performing a ritual or a rite, you know. In the last few days, I have had the privilege of addressing a convocation of the Mahatma Gandhi Institute for Cultural Cooperation. I have had the privilege of sharing a symposium with the High Commissioner for India, Mr. Hans Hanuman Singh, and Dr. Bo Tiwari last night when we observed Pravasi Divas in Trinidad and Tobago at India House in Trinidad Crescent in Federation Park. And one of the things I said last night, what makes me me, is that I am driven by certain things that come out of a great civilization of which I am part. This was the civilization who thousands of years ago, when people sat in caves and they still hunted for a living and they had not yet learned to cultivate crops. The ancient saints of the civilization to which I belong were speaking, Ekam sad bipraha bahuda badanti. There is one reality. People speak of it in different ways. This Rigvedic chant has inspired me, as indeed has from the Maha Upanishad in chapter 6. Ayam bandhurayam neti gananam laguchetasam. This is mine, this is my family, and that is not my family. This is the thinking of people of small minds. Udara charitanam tu But people of great and expansive consciousness say, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that the world is one family. I belong to a civilization that was guided by Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya. Take me from darkness to light, dear Lord. I belong to a civilization that knew that we had to embrace everybody. So, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhuyat Sarvasantu Niramaya. Sarve Bhadrani Pashantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhaka Bhavet. That is where we should aim for, to recapture the magic that made Sanatan Dharma so special and so beautiful. So, the journey ahead, Kemraj, you would want 25 more years, or you've used up some of the 25 years? You've used up some of the 25. Look, I want some years yet to even begin to grasp some of the essentials of Hinduism. This is such a vast canvas. This is such a big thing. And what causes many of us to fall from the high level that we're supposed to be at is this notion of aham, and I know, and I'm important, and all of that. And I would say, Pandit, one of the things that I learned many years ago is Vidya Dadati Vinayam. If you have knowledge, you must also be blessed with the jewel of humility. Vidya Dadati Vinayam. If there is no Vinayam in you, then you don't have Vidya. If you don't have humility, if you do not know what reverence is, if you do not know what respect is, then you have not learned anything in life. And ladies and gentlemen, Pandits, my students, this is not for me to score points. This is for me to be honest with myself and with you. I want to also thank Pandit Khemaraj Vyas for being tutor, as you've heard, and as secretary of the Pandits Parishad of the Sanatan Dharma Mahasabha. And he has already told you that the Pandit Parasram School of Hinduism is the official teaching arm of the Parishad for the teaching of Pandits, young Pandits in Trinidad and Tobago. Panditji, thank you very much. And please convey to the Parishad, to the President, and to the Dharmacharya our thanks. Jasoda Rampersad has been a rock. I have heard people say things about her that they ought not to say, but that's all right. People always say things, and let them say what they have to say. But the fact is that she's not only a student, she serves as secretary to the school, and every student of this school knows that she also manages the cafeteria.